Hello and thanks for watching Gary Teaches Maths. I'm continuing to go through the Edexcel Higher Tier Paper 3 from 2018 and this is question 7. So we've got an equation here with x's on both sides. So what we're going to try and do is solve it by getting x on its own on the left hand side of the equation, and we're going to try and get the number part on the right hand side of the equation. So the first thing we can try and do is get rid of this this 2 here that's in the denominator. And to do that, what we need to do is multiply both sides of the equation by 2. So I've got times by 2 there, and I times by 2 there. Remembering that I've got to actually multiply all of this right-hand side there and all of this left-hand side. What will happen is that if I'm multiplying and dividing by the same number, they will cancel each other out. So that will disappear, and that will just leave me with 5 minus x equals, and then if I times the 2 into the brackets, 2 times the 2x will give me 4x, and then 2 times the minus 7 will give me minus 14. At this stage, we need to decide which side we're going to put the x's on. So what we would always do is go for the side with the biggest number of positive values of x. So we've got a minus 1x on this side, but we've got a plus 4x on this side. So what we want to try and do is bring these x's over onto this side of the equation. So to do that, I'm going to just do the opposite to subtracting an x, which would be adding an x. If I add x to both sides of the equation, and the golden rule here is to make sure that you do the same thing on both sides of the equals. And if you do that, the equation will always remain true. So we've got 5 now, and the x's are going to cancel each other out, is equal to 4x plus 1x here is 5x, and that's going to be minus 14, which is still there. So the next step is to gradually get the x's on its own. So we're going to get rid of this negative 14. And again, by doing the opposite to taking away 14, we're actually going to add 14. So we're going to add 14 to this side. And because I've done it to this side of the equals, I've got to also do it to this side of the equals, add 14. So that's going to leave me with 19 is equal to 5x, and then the 14s have cancelled. So it's looking a lot simpler now. The next thing we want to try and get rid of is this 5. And then if we do that, the x would actually just be on its own. Now the 5 is multiplying the x. So what we've got to do is divide by 5 so that it would cancel. I can show this by putting a 5 in the denominator of a fraction. So that means the top line divided by the bottom line. But if I've done it there, I've also got to do it there. And so I end up with the 5's disappearing there. I end up with 19 over 5 equals x. And I know I said at the beginning I want the x on the left-hand side. Well, what I can do at this point is just change the order. So if 19 over 5 equals x, then the reverse must be true. X is equal to 19 over 5. And that would be perfectly adequate for the answer to this question, unless it told us to write it in a certain form. So we could write it, for example, as a mixed number and a fraction, if we were asked to. So I'm just going to go through that as well. So to do that, we would divide the 19 by 5, and we would get that 5 goes into 19 3 times. So that gives us 3 whole numbers. I'll just do it here as a bus stop method. Put the 19 inside, and then I'm going to have 5 outside. So we can see that 5 goes into 19 3 times, and the remainder would be 4. So the 4 goes on top. So this remainder here becomes the numerator of the fraction, and the bottom of the fraction just stays as the 5. So there we go. That's 3 4/5. Another alternative to how we might want to write it, and again, any of these answers is correct, but what I would do, if I wasn't asked to put it in any more complicated form, I would just leave it as this answer. So also we could put it into decimal form. So again, we go for the bus stop method. We'd put 5 on the outside, 19 inside. And we'd say, well, 5 goes into 19 3 times. And this time we don't want to write it as a remainder. We actually want to write the 19 as 19.0 and carry the remainder, which is 4, onto the 0. So there we go. And we end up with 5s into 40 is 8, not forgetting to put a decimal point above the point in the question part. So we could also express that as 3.8. So each one of these would be an acceptable answer to this question. And we've done it anyway. So I hope that's been helpful to you. If it has, please like our video and subscribe to our channel, which is Gary Teaches Maths. And for more help, visit our website, which should be appearing at the top of the screen as we speak, which is bestmathstutors.co.uk. Thanks.